Hello, we are live. Thank you guys for joining us today. We are joined today by Denise Ross. Denise, are you here? I think we got some technical issues going on right now. Can you hear me, Denise? Denise? Hi, guys. Welcome. If this is your first time stopping by, let us know where you're from in the comments. We're going to take a quick pause while we figure out our technical issues. If you're here, feel free to let us know where you're from down over in the comments. Okay, Denise, there you are.
Yes, I got kicked out.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's okay.
Okay, let me know when you're ready and set up again.
Okay,
I
I'm good.
see a little bit of glitch. I know we were in the waiting room, everything was good to go, and then we went live and it was. All right, if this is your first time here, guys, let us know where you're from in the comments. Awesome. And if this is your first time, my name is Bertiana Morales. I'm with Signature Real Estate Group, located in Temecula. I'm located in Wildomar, California, serving the entire Temecula Valley. And I'm joined today by Denise Ross. Denise is our agent who is located in, more technical issues, San Antonio, Texas. Thank you so much for joining us. Now, can you tell me a little bit more about yourself, who you're with?
Yes, like she said, my name is Denise Ross. I'm with Keller Williams City View Realty here in San Antonio, Texas. And I have been an agent for about 2 years. I have prior sales experience. I used to be in medical sales years ago, and then took some time off to stay at home with my kids and just have been loving doing real estate. I'm a lifelong Texan. I grew up in this area and then went to college at Texas A&M and lived in Dallas for a while. And then I've been back here in San Antonio for quite a number of years.
So. I love it. Have you ever been to the state of California?
I have.
Which part did you go to? Do you remember?
I used to work for a company actually that was based in Carlsbad.
Carlsbad. Okay, not too far from us here in Temecula, the Temecula Valley.
It's
Okay,
a beautiful area.
Yeah, it's amazing. So if this is your first time joining us, this live series is here to help Californians who are on the fence on moving out of California, or even if you know you're leaving, to help you decide on other states. If you don't know whether to choose Texas or Florida, I'm going to do a little bit more research for you, helping you to your next state. And so here we have Denise. We're going to be taking a look at San Antonio. We here in the Temecula Valley, what we've been looking at since COVID is a lot of people from, let's say, LA, San Diego, and Orange County relocating to somewhere more affordable. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to share my screen, kind of give you a little bit of insight. Let me see if it'll let me do it. Give you a little bit of a visual. So this is us here in the beautiful state of California. As you can see, we're here in Riverside County. We are getting people from LA, Orange County, San Diego, even San Bernardino and Santa Clara. So for those of us that have already been here, we are getting priced out of the market. So people that can no longer afford to live here, or they're tired of the politics or anything along those lines, they're moving out of state. So that is something that we're dealing with here in Riverside County. Let me exit out of this. Have you seen more people from California? What has your experience been like these past few, I'd say, since COVID? Have you seen more Californians relocate?
Absolutely. I've had quite a few number of clients that have moved from California to Texas, and am constantly getting calls from people. So I love that you reached out and are trying to help your clients.
Yes, I want to help good people find good people. So what is San Antonio like compared to, let's say, the rest of the state? How is it compared to, well, let's start with there. How is it compared to Dallas and DFW? How is it?
Well, so San Antonio is south central Texas. So Texas kind of has this triangle that is Dallas, Houston, and San Antonio. And Austin's kind of in the central bottom portion of that. So we're about 70 miles south of Austin. And San Antonio is the seventh largest city in the United States and the second largest in Texas. But it's also one of the most affordable. It's 14% lower cost of living than the national average, and even lower still than the other states and other cities, major cities in Texas.
Right.
But we are known as Military City, USA. I may have been getting a little bit ahead of you there with the
No,
cost.
you're good. Go ahead.
We're known as Military City, USA. So we have that as a big base of our economy and also a big part of our culture here as well. And I think that the military population coupled with the amount of tourism that we have here, because there's so many things to see and do here, a lot of history. Obviously, everybody knows about the Alamo, but we have lots of other things to do here, including, SeaWorld, like you guys have in California,
Right.
and some, Fiesta Texas amusement park, just to name a couple of things. But the amount of tourism coupled with the military, I think, makes our population in general very friendly and very welcoming and also very diverse.
Yeah, and we were just talking about the neighborhoods in the area. For those of you that are new here, I do love to partner with other agents that already have a YouTube. Denise does have a YouTube for those that are interested. She highlights area. Oh, there it is. Living in San Antonio for those that want to look more into neighborhoods in the area. That's a place to start. And let me go back. So what does the housing market look like right now in San Antonio?
So we are very much still in a seller's market here in San Antonio. The average sales price of a home is $351,000, which is probably significantly different than what you are seeing in your market area. And homes are still selling very quickly. So the average time on the market is about 21 days. So we're still seeing a lot of multiple offers and a lot of cash buyers, but have a lot of programs that can.
California.
Yes. A lot of programs also that can help, even if you're using financing, help if you utilize these programs to present yourself as if you were a cash buyer, even though you're using financing.
I love that. Yeah. So in comparison, here in Riverside County, our average sales price last month, in the month of April, was $706,000. Average days on the market is 21. So average days on the market, we're right there with you guys on 21. It's still a heavy seller's market. We're still seeing a lot of competition, especially here. And then it just depends on the price range as well. So if it's something on the, I feel like anything around 400,000, you're still dealing with a lot of competition. Anything over, you might be dealing with maybe 1 to 3 other offers, but they're extremely strong offers. Mm-hmm. So I love that it's still kind of comparable to your market. So let's say I have a buyer here, well, somebody leaving California, and they contact you, they love the area. What does the home buying process look like with you?
So I would definitely want to have a conversation, whether that be over the phone or over Zoom. I love doing it face to face, even if it's just over Zoom, to try to get to know the folks a little bit better, what their family or what they're looking for in a home, what's most important to them, and then if they have a certain place they're going to be working, or if they're going to be working from home, because San Antonio is very spread out. So if you're working on one side of town, you don't want to be living on the other side of town, because even though we don't have the kind of traffic like some folks moving from LA and things like that, you still don't want to be spending your life commuting across town if you don't have to. So I like to try to narrow those things down and help people to kind of figure out an area of town, like narrow down those areas of town, because I know when
Okay.
you're coming from somewhere you've never been here before, it's kind of hard to say, okay, where do I want? I don't know anything about this place. Where do I want to live? So
Exactly. So they reach out to you, you get kind of an idea of what they want. Are you doing video tours? Are you recording like an in-depth video and then sending it to them? How does that look like when they're purchasing with you out of state?
yes. So I have done several clients purchases that have purchased the properly entirely sight unseen. So
Mhm.
I've done video tours for them, even, for the inspection and those types of things as well. But on my YouTube channel, I actually have a lot of resources for this as well. I have a kind of an overview tour of, walking through the entire map of San Antonio. Like this is, these are the neighborhoods in the western part, these are the neighborhoods in the northeast part, and so forth. So that is like a really good tour and then I do have several neighborhood tours as well. But obviously beyond that, then once, we set them up on a search and find a particular home, I definitely would, whether they're coming here to visit or if they just want to tour it virtually, we can make it happen.
Exactly. So let's say they find a house with you, they're ready to submit. What do you think would be their best way to get that house and have that offer accepted? Is it just hitting removing contingencies? Are you suggesting that they submit overpriced? What would be the best way you think to have their offer accepted?
Well, each situation is going to be a little bit different. As you know, in real estate, there's no true transactions that are the same. So obviously, I want to give, personalized advice to that particular situation. But just in general, I would say for the most part, removing contingencies, um, offering, right now we're seeing for the most, depending upon the price point, about 5 to 10% over asking price or the offers that are being accepted. But of course that, can change at any time, as the market shifts. But so those are definitely the things, and utilizing some of those programs if you're using financing, um, utilizing some of those programs that allow you to still use financing, but it appears to the seller as if you're a cash buyer. So that removes that financing contingency, which is
Right.
also really attractive. And we're still also seeing some lease backs,
Mhm.
because of people, not having a place to go after their house selling so quickly. So those
Exactly.
are all things that are definitely in consideration.
They help. And especially here in California, some people call it lease backs, some people call it rent backs. For those of you out there that are considering selling your home, you know you want to move at the end of July, but you want to make sure to give yourself enough time to sell your home and not run into any time crunches. You sell your home and you ask the seller to give you more time in your house after the close of escrow. So that you can either stay free of charge or you pay them the difference for those months that you're in your house. And this gives you enough time to make sure the house that you're purchasing is ready to go. So if you're selling your house in May, you can still be out by July and make sure that the timelines align. So Denise, let's, I wanted to ask you, I know this is very mundane, but here in California, I feel like it's sunny all the time. We don't really deal with the weather. I am bringing it up. What is it like? What are the seasons like for people that move out there? I always tell agents, especially in Texas, I did have a friend. She moved out there. She didn't know she was moving in the middle of hurricane season. So she got there, no electricity, everything. There's just rain everywhere. What is it like? What are the best times of year to avoid moving? What would you suggest?
Well, that's a great question. I'm really glad that you asked about that. We don't really have a lot of extreme weather here in San Antonio. We're far enough away from the coast to not really be affected by the hurricanes unless one, makes landfall and comes inland and then just dumps rain for several. So we might get some of the rain from that, but we're far enough from the coast that we're not affected by the wind and have to. Usually this is the place where people are evacuating to and not evacuating from. So we also usually don't get tornadoes or those types of things. Those are usually a little bit further north. Not to say that they never happen, but it's just
Yeah,
not a regular thing. But we do have a lot of triple digit weather in the summer. So,
I
but
love.
everywhere has air conditioning
Yeah,
here. So that that is probably the biggest difference. We maybe have a look. I mean, California runs a lot further north than Texas, so there's a lot more variety in climate. Probably not from your area, but we don't really have a lot of extreme winter weather here either. I mean, I say that, and last winter in 2021 we had crazy snow and ice storm, but that was
Yeah.
like that's like a once a generation type thing. So if it snows or anything like that here, everyone stays home, everything's closed.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. And here in Riverside County, we're Inland Empire, so it's not uncommon for it to get triple digits. So I feel like it's really comparable, but is it humid over there? How is it? How is the humidity?
it is humid, about 60% humidity year round. So it's not like the Houston type 90% humidity, but it's not dry
Yeah,
here.
that's good to hear. Perfect. Well, do you have any relocation tips for people that are looking to move out of state? Any general tips that you have for them?
I would just say that even if you're not planning to move until, like your move is months away or even a year away, it's not too early to start planning that and
Yeah,
reaching out, because even if you reach out to me now and say, "Hey, I'm thinking about moving," I can get you some information about the area, answer any questions that you might have. It's also not too soon to start figuring out your financing, because
exactly.
if you get in touch with the lender and they say, okay, you need to work on your debt to income ratio, or you need credit repair or whatever, you have time to do that, rather than, oh, I need to move in 6 weeks and I haven't done any of these things.
Exactly. I tell everyone, especially my home buyers, whether you're selling and buying or just buying, let us know ahead of time so we're not, like I said, in a time crunch, especially if you're moving out of state, because then you have to think about, the movers and just relocating everything. I tell people,
Mhm.
let us know ahead of time. And if you're not researched, you're not sure, it can get very overwhelming very quickly. And for
Yes.
those of you
And
out there, oh,
and
go
if
ahead.
you're researching things, there might be things that I've already answered for other people and could save you that energy in having to look, search for those answers on your own.
Yeah, and I tell my clients that are moving out of state, I'm like, if you are able to get out there, take a 3 to 5 day vacation, look at the area, and actually compare the neighborhood, see what you like, go during rush hour.
Oh, absolutely.
That's the best way. So you'll know, hey, can I live here? Compare that to another area, let's say Dallas, and compare the areas, compare the two, especially if you're moving out of state. I have clients that move out of state, they get there for a year and they're like, I can't do this.
Right,
You have to
right.
figure out how to move them back home.
Yeah.
So that is just, that it is so funny. Okay. Do you have any other tips for my clients that are looking, or any Californians that are looking to move out of state, or any tips in general?
Um, did you want to talk a little bit more about the comparison of cost of living, or what happens once you go under contract?
Yeah, of course. Let's talk about what happens when you get under contract. Well, let me go to what happened after that. Oh, there's not a banner for that. Yeah. So let's talk about that. So let's say someone, you find them the right house, you get under contract. What does the timeline look like from there?
So the timeline varies depending upon whether you what type of purchase you're doing, whether you are purchasing new construction or purchasing, using financing, because a lot of the timeline is driven by the lender in that case, versus if it's a straight cash purchase. But generally, once you go under contract, there is the first period where you can do the inspection and all of that stuff is called the option period. And it's called the option period because it is optional. So it's not required. Of course, your realtor would always recommend that you have an inspection and do that
Yeah.
due diligence on any property that you're purchasing. But it is negotiated between the buyer and seller during the contract negotiations. So that period can vary. It's generally between 3 and 10 days. And there is a fee that goes with it. The fee is separate from the earnest money. It's called the option fee. Usually that's somewhere between $100 and say $300. That's one way where you can make your offer stand out from others if you're looking for ways. But that essentially is you purchasing the right to terminate the contract for any reason during the option period. So if you loved this yellow house on the day that you saw it, and then all of a sudden you decide, I hate yellow, I can't live in this yellow house, you can get out of the contract as long as you're in the option period. If you have the inspection and they find problems with the foundation or whatever, you can get out of the contract as long as you're in the option period. If you do exercise that right to get out of the contract to terminate, then you do lose your option fee. So you're $100 to $300, but you would get your earnest money back. So
yeah, exactly.
a nice peace of mind. So that's generally what happens when you go under contract. And then after that, depending upon if you're using financing, the lender would order an appraisal. There definitely has to be a survey for the property to close. So like the little drawing showing what structures are on. Yes. So if the property owner has an existing survey, that sometimes can be used again for this transaction. If the owner hasn't made any changes to the structure or anything like that, sometimes they can use that. And who pays for the survey if a new one has to be ordered is determined by negotiating the contract as well.
Yeah, I love that. And it's so interesting to me because here in California, circling back a little bit, we have an inspection period and you go negotiate the days, but you don't pay per day. Like it's just there and you just negotiate the timeline. So I always think it's so crazy that you have to, pay per day and you negotiate that. I love that. This is something people wouldn't know ahead of time. This is why we tell our clients, come to us ahead of time so it's not such a surprise.
Right.
We do have a Facebook user has a quick question for you, Denise. Good afternoon. What is the average build time for new construction in Texas?
That is an excellent question, and that is somewhat of a difficult question to answer because everything has kind of changed since COVID. So before that, I would have said for sure, easily 6 to 9 months you could build from, just buying dirt to building a home. But these days it's really hard to say. And even some of the builders are not meeting their deadlines because they're having trouble, everywhere is having trouble finding people that will work. So, I would say it would be hard to find and be able to count on something starting from the ground up less than a year's time frame. And some builders aren't even selling they're only selling, starting at the frame stage or starting, at the more finished out stage.
I like it. I like it. Okay. So
hopefully that answers your question.
So too. So if somebody is looking to purchase a new construction home with you, but the house isn't built, are you just sending them what the builder has, the little blueprints and the model home photos? Is that what you're sending them? Are you going to these model homes as they're being built, giving them updates?
Oh, absolutely. It definitely would be, walking through the process with them and giving them updates. Because I always think of how I would want to be treated, and I wouldn't want to be purchasing a home, not ever having seen it, not ever had anybody check on it or anything like that. So I always try to treat all of my clients that way.
Giving them a peace of mind. I love that. And then going back to the home buying process, I think I cut you off earlier. I'm sorry. After the option period, was there more to it?
So no, after the option period, then if depending upon, if it's a lender, then, it would be subject to the buyer's approval and those things like that. So,
okay, perfect. And during the final walkthrough on the home, once everything is said and done, have you seen that clients come in and have their house and they do the final walkthrough with you, or are you doing video tours with them, or does that vary client by client?
It varies client by client. I had one client that could not make it here at all, so she did her closing remotely. She was actually from California, did her closing remotely, and I did the video walkthrough with her. But there have been others that have come for the closing, and we just did the first part remotely. So just
And
depends.
it,
However,
right.
however it works best for the client, and is how I'm going to make it work out for them. So.
Awesome. And do you just meet them once you deliver keys? Is that how it works? Love it. Okay, and let's talk about price of living. What is it like in your neck of the woods? Let's talk about. Hold on, I had it. Don't want to miss anything. Quick question.
So probably the question everyone wants to know is about gasoline, if I
Oh
had
my.
to guess.
Yeah, so here in beautiful California, I think across the street, gas is around $6, $5.95, $6, just depending on which one you're going to. What does it look like for you?
So we're just right around $4 a gallon for regular unleaded.
Oh my goodness. So that's, which is still a lot, but I mean, it's way better than what we're seeing here.
Yes. Yeah, I was researching this a couple months back, and so kind of kept an eye on it. And it seems like on average, California is about $2 more per gallon than where we've been pretty consistent.
And how about car registration? I know here I just heard a lot. It depends on what kind of car you're driving. How is car registration prices over there? Car registration prices.
It's relatively inexpensive. It's about $75 to get it might be a little bit more if you have like a really heavy pickup truck, but it's not anything exorbitant or anything like that. So it's about $75. You have to get also a safety inspection done before, which is not really very expensive either. So.
Right. Here in California, we have a smog check, which isn't too much, but like I said, it just depends on what you're driving, I feel like. And that's every 2 years. It's not every year. What
So
about
some cities or some counties in Texas have the emissions inspection on top of the regular safety inspection. We here in San Antonio and all the counties surrounding San Antonio do not have that. So we just have the standard safety inspection. So that does make it a little bit more affordable as well.
I like it. And what about property taxes, Melrose assessment? How does it look like in your neighborhoods that you service?
So property taxes, well, let me back up just a little bit. Two things that
Right.
are probably going to be the most significant difference. One is Texas has no state income tax.
Yes.
So that's going to be probably the biggest difference, aside from gasoline, the biggest difference in cost of living between the two states is no state income tax. But because of that, we do have probably higher property taxes than what you guys are used to there in California. So since we have no state income taxes, property taxes are the ones that are carrying the whole load for roads, schools, law enforcement, all of those things. So our sales tax is usually about a little over 8%, about 8.25%. But the property taxes is going to be anywhere from 2 to just under 3% of your property value. So there's obviously some ways to lower that depending upon what school district you're in, whether
Right.
you're in the city limits of San Antonio or out, in one of the suburbs. But that usually is sometimes a little bit surprising to people.
Yeah, and also why we want people planning ahead of time, looking at the bottom line, because I feel like a lot of people are under the impression that Texas is so much cheaper than California. But if you look at the property taxes, and like you said, where you're at, you have to see what you're paying at the end of the year. That's something.
Yes. Well, definitely the property taxes, you want to take that into account when, calculating your mortgage payment, but definitely your money, I think, is going to go a little bit further here, even considering that, because if you just looked at when we talked about earlier, the average prices of homes was pretty significantly different.
Right. Perfect. And what do you guys have HOAs a lot in your area?
We do. It just varies. Wow, especially in you will not find unless you buy. You will not find really new construction that is not in an HOA, and so it's really some older homes that might have a voluntary HOA, but it's really hard to find a property that's not in an HOA.
Yeah. And
The fees are going to vary depending upon what kind of amenities are offered in the homeowners association. So some of them have like these really elaborate pools and, sports courts and, um,
yeah,
pavilions that you can utilize and rent and things like that. And then others just have, the association to maintain the, kind of police that make sure nobody's parking a pink Cadillac in their front yard or what have
yeah,
you.
yeah. And you, since you've been out here for work, would you say that it's the neighborhoods there that you're seeing are comparable to the ones over here? Like same style houses, same lot size?
Um, I can't say that I can really answer that because it's been a number of years since I've been there, and I was probably more, going from a hotel to commercial area and not really so much in residential area. So I don't want to say yes and be wrong, but I will say that we have a pretty diverse style of home here. So everything from ranch style, Mediterranean, modern, traditional, and so forth. Um, Probably not very many condos and things like that as much as single family residential and apartments as well, but also a pretty big variety of lot sizes as well. So there's even some lots that are very conveniently located, like, next to major highways and things like that, that are like half acre lots. So of course you're going to be paying a premium for those neighborhoods, but there's a lot of diversity in home styles and sizes.
Yeah, and that's what people are looking for. I feel like, especially here in California, whether it's Riverside, LA, San Diego, Orange County, people want to make sure that they have land. They're not dealing with, small lots, small homes, being stuck in, bumper to bumper traffic. I feel like that's what's causing a lot of people, or encouraging a lot of people, to look outwards towards Texas, and at least having the option to have that lot preview, just houses, and have that diversity
Mm-hmm.
options that they might not be able to find here at an affordable price. I think that's all I have for you. Is there anything else that I might be missing? Let me see.
Um,
I think my tip for my clients or anyone looking to leave the state of California would be to reach out to us as soon as you think you are ready. Um, like we were saying, I believe that the best choice a client can make is to research ahead of time and get to us so that they can have their game plan in mind when moving forward, especially moving. And for anyone that is interested in finding out more about Denise and her neighborhoods that she services, I'm going to throw on, let me just see if I can put this on. Oh, I'm trying to show your YouTube page. I think I'm running into more technical difficulty. There it is. Living in San Antonio on YouTube. You can find more information. I think your more recent video is leaving California. That's going to be, I think, one good place to start. There we
yes,
go.
and reaching out to Birdie and I, like, she can make your move go seamlessly on the California side, and I can make it go as seamlessly as possible on the San Antonio side, and you'd just be in good hands all around.
Exactly. And especially if you're selling here in California, reach out. We can get a game plan and place your house on the market while also helping you purchase in Texas. If anyone has any questions, call, text, or email. And Denise, thank you so much for reaching out. I will be talking to you soon.
All right, thanks, Birdie. Thanks so much for having me.
I had something on for this. Of course. Thank you so much. We will talk to you guys soon. Thank you. Don't forget to like and subscribe down below, guys. We'll talk to you guys soon.
Are you still